day in the college basketball world. Welcome to another episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast, another recap episode. I'm your host, No Love, and tonight, we will be talking about everything college basketball. We will be talking about the top 16 seeds review, what I agree with, what I don't agree with. We will get into that. We will get into all of the college basketball um, action, a couple of spoilers. Wisconsin upsets Purdue. We'll talk about how that affects the Big Ten standings. And Auburn in Alabama played a classic today in Tuscaloosa. If you watched the game, you know who the real number one is. But let's just get straight into it. So, obviously, yeah, okay, sorry about that. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's start off with mainly the March Madness top 16 review. I have to I have the one seeds memorized here. One seeds are Auburn, Alabama, Duke, and Florida. Florida takes the fourth one spot. Not mad at that. Thought maybe Tennessee would take it, but what are you gonna do? Obviously, looking for the, geez, you know, looking for list, just the whole entire list here. Towson, all right, all right. Here we not are. Yeah, but those are the top seats. I'm just gonna talk to about that for a moment as I get this pulled up here. Auburn, the number one overall seed. Look, they've been the number one team all year. That it's what it's been. They've been number one team all year. It was either going to be them or Bama. Auburn's been fantastic. They have a lot. They have wins over. They have wins over Houston. Obviously, they have wins over Houston, Purdue. Uh, have have a win over Tennessee. They have a lot of really good wins this year. I've pulled it up. This is what it would be. South region will be Atlanta, so Auburn will be playing in Georgia. Midwest, Indianapolis, it will be Alabama. Then in the East, Newark will be the site. Duke is 3, then 4 in the West. What San Francisco, Florida. Then the two seeds go in this order. Texas A&M, they are, excuse me, Tennessee, they are the first number 2 seed, or they're fifth in the ranking. In the South, 6 Texas A&M, 7 Purdue, and in Houston in the West is 2 seed. In the Midwest, Iowa State's they get the 3 spot, then Kentucky gets the other 3 spot in the West, and then in the South, Wisconsin gets the other 3 spot. In the East, Arizona gets the other 3 spot. In the in the South region, Texas Tech has fought their way up to number 4. It looks like get that. Michigan is the other 4 in the West. In the Midwest, Kansas is the other 4, and St. John's is 4. Things I agree with. They got the 4-1 seeds right. You can make an argument about Florida. You can make an argument about Tennessee over Florida, but to me, what separates those two teams, because I know they split, what separates them is Florida's win at Auburn. one of two teams to beat Auburn, and Duke beat them at home. I I get it. Florida went on the road to beat them, so that's fine. I'd probably flip flop Duke in Florida, but just because Florida plays a tougher schedule in the SEC, and the ACC has not been the strongest conference this year. In terms of the twos lines, I would have Houston over Purdue. I think they're better, but I get Purdue has good wins they beat Michigan. That's a good win. That's a good win there. Yeah, who else who else they beat? They've been very consistent. They beat Bama as well early in the season. If you don't remember that, they beat them as well. Oregon's a nice win for them. They will be a tournament team. Ole Miss in the regular season regular season tournament that they played. Maryland, who's in the top 25, that's a good win for them. They have some good wins, obviously. So I'm not gonna take anything away from them in terms of that. Obviously, Texas A&M has been playing really good right now. So yeah, obviously Tennessee being the 15, just outside of the four. Obviously that's fine. That's fine. You could make an argument for them to be a one over Florida if you want to. They had a comeback win today, which we will get into and what that means. So yeah, and then in terms of the threes, I think they got the threes right. Wisconsin, Kentucky, Iowa State, Arizona, Wisconsin. Iowa State went on a 3-game slide, so I believe that dropped them from the 2 to the 3 line. I believe if they didn't go on that slide, I think they'd be on the 2 line. I think Purdue will probably be the just barely outside the 2 line. They'd be the top 3 seed, but I have no problem with that at the moment. Kentucky has great wins. Look, I know they lost tonight. Has great wins. The 4 line is where I have an issue. Texas Tech, no issue. No issue. Michigan, also no issue. Kansas is with St. John's. I'd have higher on the 4 line. They'd be the 13th 4 seed, but that's neither here nor there. St. John's to me, I know the Big East. But they're like 21-4. They did go on the road to UConn and win. They have great wins versus Marquette. They can have another great win against Creighton, but they've handled their business in Big East play. Kansas to me should be a 5, and Michigan State should be a 4. I'm assuming Michigan State's right outside of this. I don't know how. I mean, I guess if you look at Kansas' resume, it's stronger than Michigan State's. I guess that's what they're going off of. As I'm recording this, Kansas is playing, and Kansas is about to lose to Utah, who's 13-11. So yeah, I don't know how they're a 4 seed. I guess okay. I'm looking at they did beat Michigan State, so that probably goes into it early in the year. That probably goes into it. They had a nice win over Duke, but then I'm looking at the rest of their schedule. I mean, they did split with Iowa State. I guess if you want to talk about the resume, that it may be a little stronger than Michigan State and they beat Michigan State, that's fine. Maybe Michigan State's lost to Indiana earlier this season cost them or not earlier this season, earlier this week cost them. Looking at the resume right now, yeah, it's okay. It's all right. So yeah, I see why they're not. But I just think in terms of basketball right now. I think Michigan State's playing better basketball, so that's why I think they should have been on the 4 line, even though the resume isn't as strong at the moment. Isn't as strong at the moment. I think they should have been on the 4 line because of that. I really do. Outside of that, no real big issues with the top 16 teams. And obviously, things are subject to change. Uh, obviously, things are very subject to change in terms of the seeding. Look, it is well, when I'm recording this is February 16th. It came out on February 15th. So, think you keep winning, things will change. In terms of the bubble, I'm looking at some of these bubble team resumes. I know, and I'm just looking at them. I'm just like, we don't need to expand the NCAA tournament. That will be a separate video in itself because that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. But yeah, now going to a recap. I was gonna record a video last night. Been kind of taking a week off, school and everything, try and get that done. I did watch the game last night between UCLA and Indiana. Indiana, after coming off a big one against Michigan State, just can't get it done on the bubble still. UCLA resin, I think they're in the NCAA tournament, obviously firmly in. I know they had a rough stretch there, but they played really well. Look, Indiana played well enough to win in this game, but they've been a disappointing team to me. Look, McKenzie and Baco, son, you got to make that layup or that three. One of them there, son. You got to make one of those. Indiana's just not going to win if your guards don't give you something. Miles Rice, 24 minutes, 2 of 8, 1 for 3 from three, 5 points, not good enough. Galloway, 37 minutes, 2 of 7, 1 of 5 for 3, 5 points, not good enough. Leo should be playing more minutes because I believe he only played 20 minutes. People will be like, well, he only had 2 points. Well, his impact, he does all the little things and makes all the winning plays. Balo, they held him in check with 9. Luke Goody played a whale of a game. He has 16 points along with 7 boards, 3 steals. Baco struggled from the field with 14. UCLA really gave Indiana, they gave him a chance, missing the front ends of some 1-and-1s. UCLA, funny enough, with results today, are still in contention for this double bye in the Big Ten tournament. So yeah, in terms of Indiana, look, the way the tournament works, the last 3 teams will be eliminated. They don't play unless IU just goes on a massive slump, which I don't think they will. I don't think they beat. I don't know. I don't think they beat Purdue, but I think they have winnable games after that. I think they win those. Keep out of that. Look, Indiana, this one hurt because you got a great resume win against Michigan State that put you back on the bubble. They don't have any losses that I think really necessarily outside of the Northwestern loss. I don't think necessarily hurt them. I don't think those necessarily hurt them, but when you're looking at the bubble, I mean, geez, some of these losses, and Iowa lost too. Look, you're at Iowa, you lose by 25 points. That's a bad loss. Uh, the Northwestern loss, that's a bad loss. Maryland is a bad loss, not because they're bad, they're good. It's a bad loss, not on the resume, but it's a bad loss because you probably should have won the game. And if you had won that game, probably would put you in a tournament. The Purdue game on the road and the Michigan game. If you win one of those 2 games, I think you're in as of now. But I'm looking at the schedule. They have 5 games left. I get it. They've lost 4 in a row at home. Indiana still has a chance. I know, as crazy as that may sound, they still have a chance. The reason I feel like they still have a chance is because they're if they can beat Purdue, you're now 16-11, 7-9 in the league. You have winnable games against Penn State and Washington. If you somehow rattle off three in a row by the grace of whatever, because they've been playing hard and competing in these games, so that's not, I don't think it's wild to say. If you somehow rattle off three in a row, you'd be at 18 and 11 in the league, and you'd be not, or 18-11 overall, 9-9 in the league. And then a split, if you split Oregon and Ohio State, you'd be 20-12 and 10-10 in the league. That probably will require you to either to safely be in, win a game in the Big Ten tournament. I don't think I don't think it, because you can luck into beating a team. I don't think, and they beat in Ohio State earlier this year. They beat in Penn State earlier this year, and then Washington. We'll see. I don't think that's wild to think that. So I think in terms of the bubble, they're not dead. UCLA is going to the NCAA tournament. Mick Cronin's team plays really solid defense. First year first year in the Big Ten, not bad, not too shabby. They've won. They had won about 7 in a row until they lost on the road to Illinois. Their final games: Minnesota, Ohio State, at Purdue, at Northwestern, USC. I'm looking at these final games here for UCLA. There's a good chance they get a bye. There's a very good chance they can mess around and get a bye in the Big Ten tournament if Purdue continues to slip. I mean, they're only a game back now, so and with that schedule, there is still a very good chance they can get that. So in terms of the Big Ten, that's why I posted it was a big game for both teams. Indiana, it felt like you needed to have it. You didn't get it, but you still have a couple more opportunities in terms of quad one out there. UCLA, it wasn't a had to have either. I think with a loss, you still would have been in, but it wouldn't have been a great look on the resume. If you win now, it's a great look on the resume. I was gonna go in chronological order, but let's just get right into the game of really the day of the year, not in terms of quality, but in terms of height. Number one versus number two. Auburn is the real number one. Auburn takes down Alabama 94-85. What a game this was. Look, in the first, what was key was the start. Auburn got out to a 14-4 lead. They got up 10 early because John A. Broom or Janai Broom, he hit a couple threes early. Miles Kelly hit a three early. I think Baker Mazzara, he might have came in and hit a three. They hit like 4 threes early. It's the point. They got up. They shot 40% for three, which is not bad by any means. Alabama couldn't buy a three. And if you're Alabama in this game, you scored 85 points. You shot 5 of 26 from three, and you lost by 9. Only 9 at home. They didn't shoot the three well. Mark Sears, it's not 18 points, 4 for 17, 2 for 11. Not his best performance. I will say though, the physicality. I need a 7-game series of this. Obviously, I posted that. I need 7 games with these two teams just going back and forth. They meet each other again at the end of the season in the jungle. I believe it is the last the regular season finale. March 8th is when it is. Regular season finale, probably SEC championship game on the SEC title on the line. I think both teams will get a double bye. Uh, Look, Auburn, will they lose another game in there? I think they probably will. I'm looking at the schedule. I'm not saying they're going to lose to Arkansas or Georgia, even though Georgia took them to the limit last time, or Ole Miss. At Texas A&M is huge. It's about time to start talking about that. This SEC title race and stuff like that. They were tied at 10-1. They were tied at 10-1. Bama with the loss obviously drops. Florida at 9-3. They're still there. Texas A&M, who we will get into in a minute, had a good showing against Arkansas. Arkansas, who is again on the bubble, just like a team I discussed, IU. Both teams had high expectations. It was tough loss for them, obviously. But in terms of the double bye, Missouri, Tennessee. Look, Tennessee, I don't think they're going to get it because they're behind Missouri and Texas A&M. I don't know if they get it. This league is just so good this year. It's almost insanity. But yeah, I give Bruce Pearl credit. He had his guys ready to play. Nate Oates had his guys ready to play as well. Again, they Auburn, you just get off to a hot. You're not expecting Johnny Broom to pull up for 2 threes. I mean, you give him space there, and he just knocks it down. He's so good at that. Oh, Auburn also beat Iowa State early in the year in terms of back there. Ole Miss, yeah, great wins. Look, Auburn, they will be fine. Obviously, they won the game, but coming down the stretch here, I think they're the best team in the country. I think they proved that. People are talking about um, Duke College Game Day. They were talking about Duke being potentially they will eventually be the best team. Look, I'm they got to clean up their in the game situations. They're also the ACC is not as strong as it usually is, so they're gonna have to clean up the in the game situations, mainly for the round of 32 and beyond, because those are when games get tight in the NCAA tournament for them. They'll be number two, and they're in the rankings next week. So again, this game, the Auburn's ability to get after you on the glass and on the defensive end, people will say, well, Alabama scored 85 points. Yeah, you're holding them to 85 points. That's pretty okay considering against pretty much everybody. They against pretty much everybody, they score at least 90 or close to it. Or if they take their foot off the pedal, um, and then if they take their foot off the gas and like I'm just looking at these numbers in games they won against Illinois. They put up 100 against Rutgers. They put up 95 against North Carolina. They put up 94. They won a game against Oklahoma where they put up 107. They beat Texas A&M. They put up 94. They went on the road to Kentucky. Kentucky team, they're another team that can really score. If they scored 97, you would have thought they won the game, right? Nope, because Alabama scored 102 on the road. They beat Georgia. They scored 90 in the game they played last week. They won on the road at Texas. They scored 103. So when you look at this, It's great. Now, who's my pick to win SEC? Obviously, Auburn. I know that's not going out on a limb. If you look at Alabama, this schedule, man, look at Missouri, 9 easy game. At home against Kentucky, 9 easy game by any means, but I think they can win it. At Mississippi State, obviously Mississippi State got them. They swept Ole Miss. Bring out the brooms on that. Then their last three, you're just looking at that last three and going, geez, Louise. Their last three, they're at Tennessee. That's going to be a bar fight. Tennessee really, defensively, they really make you work or on the offensive end. Their defense really makes your offense work and earn it. Then you've got Florida. We know how good Florida is on both ends at home. That's not easy. And then if you somehow manage to get out of those two games and still be competing for the SEC title, you got to go on the road to Auburn, who it will be a hostile environment. And will it be number one versus number two again if Alabama somehow gets up to that point without another loss? It will be. That was that. It was a great game. Auburn, obviously, I think they're just so versatile this year in the way they guard defensively and their guards. Shout out Thad Pettiford coming off the bench. He made some big time shots. The middle ball screen, pick and roll, the ball screen pick and or the ball screen, the pick and roll in the middle of the floor was really giving Alabama trouble. Auburn just got wherever they wanted when they got to that. So yeah, that's big. Johnny Broom off is going. I think he's made him or Cooper Flag, depending who you want to give it to. I don't think there's a wrong answer for National Player of the Year, but Auburn, that's a great win. Texas A&M beats Arkansas. Texas A&M went on a big run. Coach Cal went after his players in the press conference, said a player came over and said, "My bad." He said, "No S." That's the PG version. No S. We're all watching the game. He basically came out and called his players soft. If you basically is what he said. Look, Coach Cal, one of the great coaches in the sport. I got it. Look, I got it, but it's not the player's fault that you don't know how to use John L. Davis. John L. Davis is a guy who helped lead FAU to a Final Four, and he struggled at Arkansas this year. I don't think because he's bad. I don't think because he's bad. I just think you don't know how to use him personally. That's when I watched the game. Texas A&M, really good. Look, Arkansas, he's had his team playing well. They've been competing. I still don't know why what he sees in DJ Wagner. He just hasn't. He's been okay this season. Been okay, but look, he constantly blaming his players after the game. Look, I'm not gonna say the players have been great and all that. I'm not saying that. Obviously, they have a part in how they've struggled this year. But Cal, the roster construction isn't great. It isn't great here. And plus, Texas A&M, look, you lost on the road to top 10 team by 8. I get it. You're frustrated. You want to win. But I don't know if I would have called out my players like that. I don't know if I would have done that. Now, Mick Cronin did it and it worked. I was okay with him saying he didn't say that they were soft. He called out the lack of effort. That's fine. The UCLA was a talented team, but we're losing because of lack of effort, and you saw it. I don't think Arkansas is losing because of a lack of effort. I don't think that's the case. So we'll see if Arkansas can, scrape their way into the tournament and make some noise potentially. Most likely, nah. Um, of another Tennessee comes from behind to beat Vandy 81-76. The Zakai Ziegler haters or whatever. I didn't even know he had haters. Uh I guess come out because it was not a great day for you. He is the main reason they won the game at 21. He had 22 points, 8 assists. Chas Lanier had 21 points, 8 rebounds. Look, if if Chas Lanier scores, I believe it's 20 or more. I believe the Vols are like 20-1 or something crazy like that. So basically, when Chas Lanier plays well, they win. So if you want to win in the NCAA tournament, you're gonna Chas Lanier is gonna have to play well. Obviously, he's a shooter in terms of that. Too, look, Tennessee, they got swept by Kentucky. Not great. Kentucky lost today, but I give them a pass because look, you're without 3 point guards. They're all injured. You need point guards to win in college basketball. That's just a thing. But Tennessee, it's a great win on the road against a tournament. Look, I know people are gonna be like 17-8, 5-7 in the conference. Vandy has great wins. They beat Kentucky. They beat in Tennessee. They almost beat them again today. Vandy should be an NCAA tournament team. You can make a case if AJ Hoggard has a better day, then they may win the game. But it's a tough loss for Vandy. Great win for Tennessee in terms of trying to keep pace for a double bye. They needed that. Good rally. Wisconsin is for real. For real. They go on the road to Mackey and beat Purdue 94-84. Watched a lot of this game. Man, that offense is so good. John Tonje, best transfer, 32 points in a big time performance at Mackey. They're 10-4 now in the conference. In terms of the Big Ten title, look, it depends. Obviously, Michigan State being 11-3, they're still right there. Obviously, it depends on what Michigan does tomorrow. That's a big game. Because if Ohio State can win that again, they're a team on the bubble. If Ohio State wins that game, they're still on the bubble, but that's another big resume win. And for them to already have one against a team like Kentucky by 20 in, I believe it was in Madison Square Garden earlier this year, that's huge. And also, in terms of the Michigan, you just want to create separation to try to win this Big Ten regular season title. But back to the game, I Tonje was a big reason why they won. Klesman, I mean, their ability. First of all, Purdue could not guard the dribble drive. They just struggled to do it. And against Wisconsin, obviously they struggle. You struggle with that. Now, I think they were really good. I think they were good defensively in certain moments, but mainly against Braden Smith. Look, Braden Smith is to me the best point guard in the country, but he had an off game. He had 12 of 6. He had 6 points, but he was 2 of 10 over 2 for 3. If Braden Smith doesn't play well, Purdue won't win. It just won't happen. I don't believe they have that room for error this year. Trey Kaufman-Renn has been incredible this year, and he was incredible today. Like, he had 30. Like, Trey Kaufman-Renn did anything he could. And I know people are going to be talking about who's their third guy. I believe is Fletcher Lawyer. Fletcher Lawyer didn't have a bad day today at 15. Obviously, the loss against Michigan, that's tough. This one's tough, and now it doesn't get any easier because you go on the road here and this is the worst time to be having a skid. You go on the road here to Michigan State. That's tough in itself. And then you go on the road to Indiana, which is a team that, look, Indiana almost beat Purdue at Mackey. I mean, they were up one with about under 30 seconds left, and it's a rivalry game. Indiana's basically playing for their season. It's a game. Rivalry games are weird. So that'll be a tough game. And then, by the way, after that, you have UCLA. Um, it's at home, but the way UCLA been playing, I'm looking at their schedule. That's a game where if you even split, that's a game that's gonna potentially decide, or will decide, or yeah, I'll say potentially decide if you get the double bye in the Big Ten tournament. Which again, a double bye in the Big Ten tournament, whether you win the conference or not, it's a big deal. You don't have to play till Friday, obviously, and also and you're a 2 seed right now. You lost 2 games. The Michigan loss, okay. This one, tough loss. You can't go on the road and draw. I think they'll beat Indiana, but on in terms of your Big Ten title hopes, if you go on the road to lose to Michigan State, who you only play once, that one's tough. But this Big Ten title race is very interesting, obviously. Wisconsin gets to win. They're now 20-5, 10-4 in the conference. Maybe they can get a 2 seed. Look, this is one of the best offenses in college basketball. Look, low key, I'd pay to see if Wisconsin gets matched up somehow with somebody like a Kentucky in the NCAA tournament, or I know it's unlikely, like a Kentucky um or a Alabama, that if they get that far, that could be a regional final. I'd pay good money to go watch that. That would be up and down, frenetic pace, tough. Score went final. Kansas lost to Utah. Same for 67. You see my point now about Kansas. Anyways, I know the resume, but I just don't think they're a top 16 team at this moment in time. Some other results. Clemson beats Florida State 72-46. Not much there. Clemson's had a whale of a week since last Saturday where they beat Duke and then they beat up on Carolina, beat up on Florida State. Clemson is a team. A lot of people forget this is a team that was in the Elite Eight last year. In the Elite Eight, they brought back Shefflin and Hunter. This is a team that can make a run again, obviously. Missouri beats Georgia. Missouri's going to be a top 15 team. This is the same team that was, I believe, they finished last season in the SEC, and now they're a top 15 team. Indiana transfer Tamar Bates has been playing very well for Missouri. Is Georgia an NCAA tournament team? I thought they were a couple weeks ago. Now I'm not so sure. Anthony Robinson had a good day. They just play together, play so well. Caleb Grill off the bench. They were really good defensively. Um, Missouri, I don't think they'll. Missouri, I don't know if they'll get the double bye there, but I think they're a team that's dangerous. Obviously, Duke takes care of business. Look, they scored 106 against Stanford. Look, Duke, they're 14-1. Duke is fine. Tyrese Proctor, great Cooper Flag, great. Knuppel, great. Maluch, great rebounder. Uh, in terms of their ending schedule, they'll win the ACC. They don't really have any tough games. They're gonna go on the road to North Carolina, which okay, like I said, rivalry games are weird. North Carolina also will be fighting for its season there potentially. So there are no meaningless games in college basketball. They also they play Illinois next Saturday on a neutral site. Didn't know that was happening. I I thought that matchup would have happened earlier in the year, but no, what are you gonna do? Houston. Let's spend a little bit of time on them. Florida took care of South Carolina too as well. 88-67. Houston, let's spend some time on them. They won a very gritty game against Arizona 62-58. Arizona, also a team that's turned it around. Tommy Lloyd, you were looking at them like Arizona, it's gonna be in for a rough year potentially, maybe a bubble team. They turned it around. Props to them. Hugh Kelvin Sampson's team just plays great defense. Doesn't matter how bad they shoot. You play them in just a fist fight. It's tough. It's tough, man. Look, Arizona shot 37%. It shot 21% from three. It was a real gritty game. Arizona, the crowd, it was an incredible atmosphere, but Houston on the road just finds a way to win. Houston looking like the big dogs of the Big 12. I know, obviously Texas Tech beat them in the building, but look, two of their three losses are against the number 1 and 2 teams in the country currently. That and then their other loss, okay, San Diego State, okay, I admit that's not great. And then another loss, obviously, is to Texas Tech in an overtime game. Look, Houston, it looks like they're 13-1 in the conference. It looks like they may win the Big 12. I don't think they have. Okay, so they play. Oh, they have tough ones. So they play Texas Tech again on the road. That's going to be a big decider. Big time decider, obviously. They play Kansas on March 3rd, ESPN. March 1st, they have Cincinnati home. March 8th, 9 o'clock, they go on the road to Baylor. Baylor, who beat West Virginia, Baylor's looking like an NCAA tournament team as well. So Houston, 9 easy pickings, not an easy schedule down the stretch. But look, 2 of your 4 losses are against the number 1-2 team in the country. People are talking about national title contenders. I never hear Houston brought up. Houston, they're a sleeper team. And when Houston slept on, they usually get you in the tournament. I remember against Arizona, in the 2022 tournament where they were the 1 seed, Houston was the 5. Houston even got them, and it got them as a 1 seed. Obviously, when they were a 2 seed, they made the Final Four. They just ran into that very, very good Baylor team. It's just like, what are you going to do about that? But yeah, Houston really, really good. Peaking at the right time. Really, really good basketball. Iowa State, wins today. 81-70. Guards are great against a good Cincinnati team. Nothing much to it. How far can Iowa State go? It depends on their guards and obviously the guard play. of them. Look, you have three guards that can put the ball in the hole. Obviously, defensively, there were look. You got Gilbert Lipsy, Curtis Jones, who got you 22 off the bench. Think a sleeper is Mochilovich. He can really shoot the three ball. I think he's a real sleeper. I or X Factor. So yeah, that that they're a real X factor in the game. Kentucky lost to Texas 82-78. Then when you have 3 point guards out and you play in that conference, it's going to be very hard to win. So I just chalked that up to that. Texas, great win, obviously. Taking nothing away from them. Texas Tech destroyed Oklahoma State today. That's big. Um, Michigan State, they win 79-65. Coach Izzo passes coach night, 354 wins in conference play. Illinois, they'll be they're up and down, they're trendy. They're not consistent. I think they could be a first round exit. But props to Michigan State for getting a tough win on the road against a very good Illinois team. And Coach Izzo passing Coach Knight. Just incredible for them. Now, tomorrow, before we get out of here, just a couple of games to go over. Michigan on the road at Ohio State. Big one in Columbus. Really two big ones. That one. And then obviously we've got the game Creighton at St. John's in the Garden. St. John's coming off of getting upset. They're coming off of getting upset by Villanova, but they're still in control of their own destiny in terms of look, they're 12-2 in the conference. You know, it was a tough one on the road. Creighton 11-3, big game here. If St. John's wins, sole possession. If Creighton wins, now we've got a tie at the top of the conference. It's in MSG. That place will be rocking. Last time, obviously, St. John's played in Madison Square Garden. They faced Marquette, won a really great game. Their last game on their last home game, you call it that, on March 1st. I believe they moved that to Madison Square Garden. That they could be clinching the Big East title potentially against Seton Hall. By the way, Seton Hall beat UConn in a crazy game. UConn, what are we? Oh my goodness, UConn, that's a horrible loss. This sport never disappoints. But yeah, St. John's and Creighton, it's a big one. In the two games, I have St. John's winning against Creighton. I think defensively, uh, they they're going to be able to lock Creighton down. I think their size. Creighton will need to pack it in and make St. John's shoot threes, but I just think very well coached team. I think Coach Pitino shows there's a new program in the Big East, and it's the St. John's Red Storm. And then I have I'll say it. Ohio State. The Big Ten has been wild this season, so Ohio State, I think they upset Michigan and makes the Big Ten title race very, very intriguing and interesting coming down the stretch. All right, that is it for your Saturday recap. This will probably be going up around 9 a.m. When you see it, I'll be getting back to more of my midweek podcasts. Uh, this week, we will be talking about some NFL potential mock trades, mock drafts, and then now we'll be talking about the NBA after the All-Star break. By the way, Mac McClung, you are a star. Yes, I did watch the dunk contest. You're a star. All right. Until next time. See you.